January 2023, Aldi have got their 65-inch Bauhn TV out on sale again. We bought this back in late 2022. It's a 65-inch smart TV. Price of $669, which is pretty good for a 65-inch TV. It's powered by Tizen or Tizen, however you want to pronounce it, which is basically the Samsung operating system. I'll explain a bit more about that when I actually turn the TV on and do a bit of a review on that. But in a nutshell, basically, for the price you're paying, pretty good TV. Has a few minor flaws, but nothing that I would consider to be sort of changing your mind over buying it or anything like that if you're in the market for a cheap TV. So I'll tell you more when I record the actual operating of the TV itself. So this is the Bauhn or Bauhn, however you'd like to pronounce it, 65-inch Android smart TV with the basically the Samsung operating system. So people with Samsung TVs would be familiar with this remote control. Basically the exact same as the Samsung. These buttons down here are for your Netflix and Prime Video, Samsung TV Plus, volume TV channels. Home button here, that's one of the most regular buttons you'll be actually using. Pause, play, return or go back. This is your round pad and your button in the middle, so you can just direct any way around the screen that you want to, and press the center bit as your enter button. And then this is probably the other main one you'll use, is pressing the button here, brings up all the TV station numbers, and then you can just scroll through, get the TV station number you want. And this is the on-off button here. That is the microphone for if you want to make it a voice-activated TV with various setups, so you can have voice control. So generally, TV, when you first press the home screen, you've got a whole different array of things along here that if you use the circle to scroll along, you can select any of your smart TV things. Interestingly enough, it has its own Samsung TV channels on here as well, which if you decided to have a look at those channels, on the remote here, you just push up on the circle, and now you can scroll along to watch whatever you want to do on the actual Samsung channel. So they've got remastered Baywatch, they've got Mythbusters, anger management. So there's a few things that are just part of the Samsung channel, like 80s, 90s musics and things like that. Movie Hub. So I'll go back down. On the initial setup, literally you go across the bottom here to settings, and you've got your electronic manual there, so you don't have to read through any paperwork. You can just look at it on the screen. then your various picture modes as you go further down the end here. It's how to get connected to the internet. This one already is because I've already done it. All settings, so you can actually scan for TV stations and everything as well. Scanning for the TV stations, it literally took less than a second and it found all of my local digital stations and any digital radio stations as a link to the various channels. And you can also have on settings, I'll go back down, go to source, and then you go up and you can select any HDMIs, which are games, machines and things like that, so your Xboxes and your PlayStations, which come up with very good graphics and ample enough for any average person to be using all the games. It would only be the experts that would notice any speed difference in their particular games. One thing these TVs do have, probably the only fault that I could find, was along the edges it gets a bit of light bleed, which you can't actually see when you're playing games, and you can't see it when you're watching the TV. So I'll just go down to TV again. So go to live TV. So yeah, you can't see it along the bottom there. It's usually, you can only really notice the light bleed on load up screens and stuff like that. So overall, a very good TV, good controller, and for the price that you get it from Aldi, kind of can't go wrong. It's a brilliant setup, and gives you the opportunity to watch some of the old stuff like Mythbusters and Baywatch and things like that, as well as obviously YouTube. You can load into YouTube. So there's a bit of Baywatch. Go back to the home screen. Go down to YouTube. And then yeah, you've got all sorts of YouTube stuff there. And then down the bottom here, go to Netflix. What have we got here? That'll be Us. And hopefully you can see on here that it's quite good quality. Maybe the camera doesn't do it justice. It's actually really impressive to look at this picture. It's got a bit of a 3D effect with the software programming of this particular TV, so it will enhance your viewing pleasure pretty well. I don't think you can go wrong with the money for such a decent sized screen, 65-inch smart TV. Well worth the money. We've got several Aldi TVs and haven't had a problem with any one of them yet, so that was why I was confident to go for the this 65-inch smart TV. And then just one last thing to remember with these remote controls: if you press down on this button, it mutes. If you click it upwards, volume goes up, and likewise down, and that's channel pushing upwards or clicking downwards. So if you press this button, you're going to get that muting rather than actually going up volume and down volume. So just quickly go back to live TV again. The sound quality of the TV is quite good as well.
Alright, hey, I appreciate the update. Thanks a lot, Fred.
Pull down to your volume, and it's got audio return channel as well through the HDMI, so not that you can see it too easy down here. I'll try and get the torch. So if you've got sound bars or Bluetooth speakers or anything like that, they will connect to the TV, and you can also connect mobile phones, cast the screens, computers, you can cast the screens onto the actual TV with minimal trouble at all setting that up. It's quite a handy feature. We've all, as a family, we've all been casting our phones to the actual TV every now and then. It certainly comes in handy. So here we have the Bauhn or Bauhn 65-inch Smart TV. Just on normal high-def TV channel at the moment. Great picture. Samsung operating system. So many people that own Samsung TVs would recognise this particular remote. And basically just trying to get it to see what's on the remote here. This middle button here is the home button. So press the home button, and then this circle button is where you scroll through all the different apps and settings along the bottom. So you've got all your when you're scrolling through, you've got all your smart TV stuff there that you can access. I'll briefly show you that in a moment. If you keep going along the menu, it'll show you some more apps. You can search for things. The source, at the moment it's on TV, but you can also select your HDMIs, your AV outputs. It has a connection guide, so you can connect to your smartphones and computers. You can cast screens from your computer to this actual TV, cast screens from your mobile phones as well. In this particular instance, for gaming, I've got it hooked up to one of the HDMIs. So for the purpose of gaming, hasn't got the refresh rate that probably expert gamers would be looking for, but for beginners and intermediate gamers, perfect, does more than enough of what you need to. If there's any lag whatsoever, you're not really going to be able to tell it. It'll only be the professional gamers that would notice between their systems of top-end screens compared to this budget price screen. So occasionally it's very difficult to see on these sort of screens, but sometimes when you're watching a movie or Netflix and things are loading up, so I'll just see if we can get onto Netflix here. You might be able to see down the bottom of the screen, sometimes around the edges is what they call light bleed. So when there's dark parts of a screen, but very difficult to see most of the time. There is a tiny bit of light bleed down here, but generally nothing terribly much to worry about. So I'll just select a bit of Netflix there. There's a bit of glare on the screen because it's windows behind us here. I'll just go back to the home button. So you can actually go across to settings, and when you scroll up with the little round circle thing, you scroll up, that's when you can select the user manual, so you don't have to worry about paperwork anymore. Change all the picture modes, speaker mode, so you can actually set up your ARC audio return channel through HDMI, or you can set it up as Bluetooth to a speaker of your choice, soundbar, a Bluetooth speaker, whatever you might have. So that does those sort of features. You can also do timers connected to the internet as well, so you can set up your connections. Scroll back along. The remote controller itself. If we can see on here, one of the top buttons here, it's got numbers on it. That's to pick stations. That one's a microphone if you want to set up voice activation, and that one's just for the other links to TV channels that are on demand. Little arrow is your return button, so you can return from any particular screen you're on. Pause and play button there as well. Now, volume and TV button here, Samsung users will be familiar with this, but if you're used to other controllers, you may not know what to do with this, but this actually goes, you click upwards, so clicking upwards, or click downwards, so you're pushing downwards, changes the volume, and same with the actual up and down on this side here, does your channels. If you actually press this button rather than pushing it down or pushing it up, if you press it, it does a mute. So that's unmute, and that's mute. So that's just by pressing it. And then these are your quick reference buttons here for your Netflix, Prime Video, and Samsung TV. I like to just get used to using the home button. Press the home button and then scroll along. So what you'll notice here is when you go to Samsung TV, which is that one there, you can then scroll up, select from preloaded Samsung channels. There's the movie hub, so there's various movies you can select from, which is like a poor version of Netflix. Similar sort of thing, you've got old TV shows, you've got 90s now, so stuff from the 90s music-wise. I'm not too familiar with that one. Entertainment hub, there's things like Mythbusters, remastered versions of Baywatch are preloaded in here. Anger management. So Samsung has its own built-in TV side of things. So for instance, hopefully that will load up in a sec.
One, two, three, four.
I'll get out of that. So when we go across to YouTube, you can load up all sorts of YouTube stuff, newsy, fireworks, things like that. Obviously, whatever you want to upload, load up on YouTube, you can watch in good definition on this TV. One of the amazing things about the actual setup on this is when you first plug in the TV and you start loading it up, when you go scan for TV stations, in under a second, I kid you not, it was under a second, found every single local TV station, and then you could just start playing them, as well as every digital TV radio station as well, every channel that's digital radio. So overall, a great TV with plenty of features with all the Android Smart system, and you've got several HDMI outlets as well as a RCA outlet. I think you've got a component outlet as well. If I can find the photos I took of the back of the TV, I'll actually add them on as well. But generally, quite easy to use once you've sussed out the features of this particular controller. You'll be quite pleased with this particular setup. What I might do is, instead of worrying too much more about the TV side of things, because there's too much reflection behind me at the moment, I'll do it again tonight. I'll turn it on in the dark room and take a quick bit of video as well, so you can see the bits and pieces of what goes on with this particular TV at night time, like vision wise. Hopefully it'll show you a better picture than what you can see at daytime. Unfortunately, I don't have any curtains in here to pull these windows closed, so it's having a negative effect here on the actual view you're getting of the TV. So now that I've explained the TV, I'll do a better picture version tonight when it's dark in here.